Well, that went worse than I could ever have imagined.
If ever that day comes around, if I get my feet on the ground, I make Bonnie my wife, and we rob this whole town. You take all that money, get a boat and sail down, down, where the blue, blue waters flow. Yes, this is a place I would go. We might get ourselves lost, we may never be found, if ever that day comes around.
I now have the biggest problem I've ever had in my life with biking. Well, that went worse than I could ever have imagined. I left you at 9:40, 9:30 yesterday with 720 kilometers to get to Calais in total. I rode until 1:40 in the morning, so a full 4 hours longer, and I now have, instead of 720 kilometers to get to Calais, I have 740 kilometers to get to Calais. I have somehow lost 20 kilometers. That's the madness of riding at night with no motorways or no péages in France. I just realized very clearly how gigantic France is. I was doing a maximum speed of 38 miles an hour because the roads were often single tracks, thick fog, deer signs everywhere, and there is nothing around but winding country lane after winding country lane. And in reality, a lot of the time I wasn't doing more than 30 miles an hour because the lanes were so tight and so foggy. I then got to a road closure and there were no signs of where to go from that road closure. I had no signal for 2.5 hours because I was so in the middle of nowhere. So I had to just aimlessly ride around until I hopefully found a motorway. I found this, and this is not the glorious Dordogne, this is a trucker's station on a péage, because this is the only place I could find where there's some water and hopefully a petrol station coming up, because I saw a sign for it. So I lost time. I was doing an average of, I think, -2 miles an hour yesterday, so I'm actually a bit further back today than I was yesterday. I have 11 hours and 1,050 kilometers to get to Ipswich, even if I use the péages, even if I use those. So if I'm incredibly lucky and smash it out today, just péages, I'll be in Ipswich by midnight, if I'm mind-blowingly lucky. If not, there's another night sleeping rough, even on the side of the péages. So my plan for today, very simple. I have to get as far north as possible by any means possible. I don't care what I do, because if I stay off péages today, I've got no hope of getting back within the next 2 days. So I'm going to hit the road as soon as possible. I've even got my breakfast in here. I've got a sandwich. There's a péage, and this is the difference it makes. I'll show you what I've got here because you actually have some facilities finally, but I've got no time to waste. I've got to hit the road. Here's the extent of the madness. You can see here the line at the bottom, which is the border of France and Spain. I would still class myself effectively as in southern France. After near enough 2 days riding now, I think I'd be about 6 days if it took me the same length of time it's taken so far. So this is what I need to do today: 11 hours, 1,042 kilometers, and of course a ferry crossing to get back to Ipswich. Here we go. Right, I'll show you my setup for the day. You can see, or for the night, bike there parked up with the wingman of the road. I didn't put the wingman up very well. I was way too lazy for that. Got a bit of breakfast there and a wrap. So there's my setup, and managed to get a wrap from IKEA yesterday. Now, it may not look beautiful here on the side of a trucker's yard. However, it's got creature comforts, and that now is very comforting for me, because in France, absolutely everything closes I've never been to a country like it. At 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everything closes. Even the supermarkets close at 7 p.m. And that means that, because yesterday I forgot to buy water, you can't even buy water from anywhere. Even the petrol stations are closed and they just have the self-services. So to be on the peages with loos and water is really, really appreciated right now. I've realised that on the peages, it's not just that you get everywhere quicker, it's the services they provide. So yes, it's expensive, but you get consistent, constant, near enough 24-hour service stations which are open where you can buy food. You get toilets all the time. You even get some showers in quite a few of the places. It's very, very well set up and catered for, unlike the rest of France, which is really hard going, especially in the evening. So I'm going to be just very, very happy to know that I've always got food and fuel, probably every 25 miles or so. The nightmare situations occurred. I had a small oil leak after filling up with fuel, started fixing it, and then a security truck came and needed to get in there, so I've just had to move everything from there to here. So I've had to buy a spanner from the shop. So these shops, this is why services are very useful. They have everything. So I've just bought one of these. I've taken the tank off. I think it was just this that was loose, nothing else at all. I think. Apart from that, I'll relocate my QUADLOCK because I need the USB, and before I had the USB tucked under here, but because I'm going to be on the road longer than usual, I need to charge other stuff, speakers and stuff like that, so I've had to relocate my QUADLOCK so the USB is under the seat, so easily accessible. And it's fun because I have, of course, no breakdown cover, and I'm in southern France, so it's up to me to fix it. Otherwise, I don't know. I have no idea. Right, here we go. Let's see if I can put it back together. I think it's okay. So I'll pack everything up, hit the road. It's probably delayed me maybe by an hour in total, but it feels great. The sun's out, I'm on the auto route, the péage. Yeah, it should be fine. I can smash the mileage now. since I fixed the bike, I've travelled 12 miles and it's now 4 o'clock, so about 4 hours later. And the reason I've gone almost nowhere is I decided to come to the closest town off the peages, have a coffee and just catch up with emails and just soak it all in. I didn't specifically actually put anywhere on a map, I just saw a town signposted and it is absolutely beautiful. And I thought I needed just a little bit of time to unwind and also make the most of it, because thinking about it, I don't need to be in a ridiculous rush. Now that I know that I'm using the peages, it means that I always know that I've got a shower, I've got water, fuel, food and everything every 25 miles or so. So it's a massive, massive mind ease in knowing that I'm using the peages and I'll be fully catered for. So I will definitely make the most of this, but now it's 4 o'clock, I've done 12 miles today. I do actually need to get a move on, so I'll probably do a good 5 hours riding or so, but without any of that concern about being stranded, wondering where I'm going to sleep or something like that. Everything is sorted now. Feeling better than ever. So as is always the case, you've got the lorry drivers' sleeping area there where they all park up. Here you've got the restaurant area. Petrol station over there, you can do self-service, or I think you can also pay inside. And here is a fairly standard setup for one of these peages. You have what looks like a coffee shop, a restaurant, and a few places where you can buy some food and other things as well. And there you've got outdoor seating area as well. Right, so got a nice seating and lounge area so you can charge your phone and get a coffee. Here you've got, even at 8 p.m, a place where you can buy some food and drink. And here itself you've got the petrol station kind of area, so you can just pick up any kind of electrical goods, bits for your car or bike, and a big selection of food. And this is open all of the time. And then they've even got these self-service coffee areas here, and this is a frequent theme of all of these service stations. Then you come outside, of course, and you've got a lovely new petrol station too.
Feet on the ground and make Bonnie my wife, and we'd rob this whole town. Maybe take all that money, get a boat and sail down, down where the blue, blue waters flow. Yes, this is a place I would go. We might get ourselves lost, we may never be found, if ever that day comes around.
I've got a bad but very real feeling that the Bonneville may be close to conking out. At the start of the day I started to notice a very, very light tappity sound coming from the bottom of the front of the engine near the front wheel. That has got consistently worse to a point now where I've actually started riding a bit slower because I'm semi-freaking out. The problem, of course, I have is that I have been an idiot and decided to do this as cheaply as possible and not taken out breakdown cover. So if it breaks down in France, I am in a gigantic amount of trouble. I really need to get the Bonneville into the UK because I have breakdown cover there. I've got 400 kilometers to get back to the UK, or at least to get to Paris and get on the ferry. Then it's fine, but I have to make those 400 kilometers. The problem is that in the past 200 kilometers, the sound has got progressively worse. So it will be an interesting ride back tomorrow. It will take me just under 4 hours, so I've got 4 hours riding with it like that. Fingers crossed, if I make it, I will be absolutely over the moon because the bike's feeling a little bit ropey, that is the truth. However, that all aside, it's been a fantastic day, and I forgot how much I actually love Péages, honestly. They're brilliant, they're very well equipped, and you can absolutely mile munch on them. It's been incredibly satisfying being able to cover so much mileage, even just in the past 4 hours or so. So, brilliant day. I've camped in this just very nice area. This is a big service station here, about 6 restaurants there. I'm going to go get a coffee, do a bit of work, catch up with some emails, and then I'll come back here later and watch a bit of Netflix. But this is a huge just area for picnics and stuff, completely empty, so I've got the place to myself. It's fantastic. Bad omen. This is the first time I've woken up pouring rain. I forgot to put my shoes under the wingman of the road cover, so, well, saw in the video I had to pour probably about a litre of water out of them. Left a few other things out, but to confirm, the wingman of the road is 100% waterproof, not one drop it let in anywhere. I've got 400 kilometers and 4 hours to go. I'm not even going to stop for breakfast. The weather's so bad. I'm just going to hit the road immediately and try and smash this out as quickly as possible because this will be horribly unpleasant. The biggest problem I've ever had in my life with biking. I'm about to break down in a foreign country with no breakdown cover. The bike, I said yesterday morning it started sounding dodgy. This morning it was still sounding dodgy. It's sounding worse and worse. I rode through Paris. I went from 400 kilometers to Calais, the port in France, and I'm now just 180 kilometers away. But 50 kilometers ago, I was riding at about 80 miles an hour, and there was a big thud, and it went from 80 to 50 without me doing anything. Just did it itself, and now the maximum speed I can go is 53 miles an hour, and the engine sounds atrocious, and I've got 180 kilometers to go. And I now have to make a decision of what I do. Do I try and nurse it back on the dual carriageway, but if I break down I'll be stranded a long way from anywhere, or do I come off the dual carriageway and just have the safety of the small little roads around? Pardon. So I'm just trying to figure out what to do best, and do I even try and ride it back, or am I going to completely destroy the engine? If I had breakdown cover it would be an easy decision, but I stupidly don't have breakdown cover, so I'm going to go inside, have a quick coffee, and I have to hit the road quickly because I don't have time to be breaking down at night, and this could take a long time, but yeah, I need to make a choice. Okay, luckily there is no internet signal at all there, no Wi-Fi, nothing, so I couldn't do any checks. It started raining again. I'm still cold, I'm still soaking wet. I still just look awful. And the bike, of course, to me it really feels like the engine's about to explode and the bike's about to die, and that's it for the Bonneville. It really does. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I've got no choice, got to hit the motorway. 180 kilometers to go. Fortune favours the brave. God, I'm actually a bit scared, but here goes. Okay, 180 kilometers. The tank is full. That means that 180 kilometers, roughly speaking, it's 100 miles. I can do 120, 130 miles on a tank. Ooh, I've never been so unsure about anything in my life. If I can make it on this tank, I will have made it to Calais. After that, I don't care. Northern France is as cold as the UK or Ireland. It is bitter and constantly windy. Okay, update. I am 50 kilometers from Calais. I'm astounded that I've made it this far, but I've just had to pull off the motorway because I can't go into fifth gear because the juddering is so extreme, and I have to be in third or fourth gear doing between 48 and about 59 miles an hour. I can't do anything other than that, and because of that the fuel light has come on at 86 miles. To give you some reference, usually it comes on at about 136 miles, so it's done a colossal amount less economy because of the low gearing that I've had to be in. So I've had to pull off the motorway urgently because I've already done about 15 miles on that reserve tank. There can't be more than about 5 miles in the tank, so I've pulled off. I hope there's a petrol station half a mile away here, and then I've got my final 50 kilometers. If I'm incredibly careful, third and fourth gear, there's now I'm thinking that I'm actually going to make it, so I'm feeling pretty good. Fingers crossed. Ooh, I feel emotionally drained. That was 3 hours of a mixture of riding on the hard shoulder to let lorries overtake me and doing between 45 and 57 miles an hour, constantly thinking the engine was going to explode under me and thinking I was going to break down and having no idea what to do. I was in my head thinking what bikes I was going to get because I'd have to just dump the Bonneville or something. Emotionally drained. It feels a long time ago that I was last on this ferry. I think 10 days ago to get to Barcelona. I think I'm on something like 2,200 miles now since then. I got to the ferry port. To give you an idea on how slow I was meant to get here at 1:30 to get a ferry, and I got here at 4 o'clock. Luckily, I didn't pre-book the ferry, otherwise I'd have lost my ticket because it took me so long. So I got here 3.5 hours later, but I feel like I've won the lottery for actually getting here. I don't deserve to get here because I've been incredibly irresponsible the way I did it, but I'm so happy. So I really didn't think I'd make it. But anyway, I'm on a DFDS ferry now. It'll be an hour and a half and then I've got 3 hours riding, so I've probably still got about 6 hours travel left to go. But DFDS, the food is good, it's fairly priced, the interior design of the ferries are brilliant, so I'm going to sit back, watch all of the boats come in, watch all of the lorries come in, and just unwind, make the most of it, because that was mentally tough. I want to say this before I forget. I got to the ferry terminal, and luckily I didn't book, so I'd have lost my ticket. But because I got here and booked on the day, literally as I turned up, it was £75 instead of, if I'd have booked yesterday, £40. So just remember that if you're coming on the ferries, you don't need to book a week before, just book a day before, and you'll get it almost half price. Right, I'll tuck into this and just enjoy the view. Oh, I feel so amazing now that I made it. Well, I honestly can't believe I'm here, but I did it. I'm back in Ipswich. To give you an idea about how uneconomical this now is with the issue that it's got, I just did 72 miles. The fuel light came on and that cost me £22. It's as uneconomical as a modified 5-litre V8 Ford Mustang. It's ridiculous, but I don't care. I'm just so happy to have got back. The return trip, 1,150 miles, 3 countries, the searing heat of Spain, 2.5 kilometres high in the Pyrenees, through Andorra, the torrential, relentless, freezing rain of almost the entirety of France, on the ferry, and now back here. Oh, it's been a genuinely unforgettable experience. But this return trip especially the last 2 days after Andorra, it all went horribly wrong. And I have learnt a few things. I've learnt that peages cost money for a reason. They get you where you need to go quickly and in a lot of comfort. They are very useful to get you at least in the rough area where you want to go. So in the future I would be using a peage. I have also learnt that if you want your bike to look after you, then you need to look after your bike. I do not look after the Bonneville, and it kicked me in the back on this trip, and I deserved that. So I need to take more care of it in order to be able to do these trips better, because I know deep down I don't look after it. I know that. So I need to change that. I also learnt, and this is a big thing that I learnt that you can travel cheaply like I did with the accommodation the way I did it, but sometimes spending a little bit extra hugely increases your enjoyment, and that's the case with this. When I did the Tenerife trip with Monica and we took our time coming back, we went in nice hotels, we didn't overdo it with the amount of driving we did. We would enjoy every town or village we went to. It was lovely, it was like a holiday. This, I pushed it too far. And sleeping rough, you know, it's free, that's amazing, but it's sleeping rough. You don't look forward to the evenings. You finish a day's riding and you get to a nice little town, but deep down, even when you're having a coffee or some food, you're looking at people thinking, wow, you're going to a nice warm room, and I'm off to find a street corner to set my tent up where I'll be probably freezing, and there's nothing to do. Because actually, camping for 1 or 2 nights is relatively fun. But camping for 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 nights, because in the end I ended up sleeping rough for 5 nights, that gets boring actually. In the evening there's nothing to do, that's the reality of it. You get into your tent and you're just existing in your tent. So if I were asked, would I do the same thing again, camping or wild camping, I honestly would say no. And that's the truth. I would do the exact same trip again, but I would stay in hotel rooms because it makes it much more enjoyable. And you can actually pack so much lighter if you just stay in a hotel room. You can charge everything in the evening, you can have a shower, you can have breakfast in the hotel, you can plan your route. Everything is infinitely easier. So if it's a night, yes, I would camp, but any longer than that, I don't think I would. The cost of the trip to get out here was £181, not 1 penny in tolls, and I got a cheap ferry. The cost to come back was £287. That brings a total there and back to around £468. So that's 6 days in total and 5 nights riding for just £468. So it is incredibly cheap, and I did a gigantic range of things. But my tip would be, if you have the extra money, spend the extra money on the hotels. You will enjoy yourself more. And one other thing I've learnt that I almost forgot, breakdown cover is not, it should not be an option in your head. I learnt a huge lesson there. Breakdown cover should be essential all the time, because so many of the issues I've had are self-inflicted. I should have had breakdown cover so I wouldn't have been stressed out. I should have looked after my Bonneville so I it would have looked after me. I should have looked after my laptop so it wasn't stolen. I shouldn't have left anything on the bike. I gave the crook the opportunity to steal from me. So many things that happened are my doing because I didn't plan right, and I need to see if I can learn from that. But in general, if you take everything into account, it has been, I just can't even get my head around how many experiences I've had from this. I'm going to have to sit down and just soak it all in, because I look back and there are so many things. The whole day is filled with adventures and memories. So the most important thing for me now is that when I look back at this, it will be an unforgettable experience that I'll remember genuinely for the rest of my life, and I really do mean it. It's been an adventure of a lifetime, and I lied to say I've loved every second of it, but every single second has just felt like just pure living. It really has, and that's just what this type of trip is all about. You see so many things, and you get back, God, I'm exhausted, but I feel absolutely amazing. Right, I will leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. If you have any specific questions at all about anything, leave it in the comment, and I will do my best to reply to as many as possible. I'll invest a lot of time in replying to some of these messages. So anything you've got to ask, just let me know. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. I'm going to go home. And before I have a sleep, I desperately need a shower, because the amount of showers I had in 6 days and 5 nights, 0. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.